did
It
it. Well
is
done.
so cool to talk to you. I am such a big fan of what you and everyone in Ted Lasso did with that show. It's an amazing thing because there aren't many shows like it, really.
Thanks, man. No, I mean we feel incredibly lucky to be a part of it, and not just due to the fact that we can all say that we're professional footballers now, because we had a job where we played football.
You know, getting ready for this interview, I'm not gonna lie, I sat down and watched a few episodes, and the second I heard that opening music, it was just like chills again because it was just such a anticipation thing every time there was new seasons out.
Takes you back to lockdown, those joyful
Right?
years.
You know, I gotta ask you, I'm not sure this may be too big a question, but what did Ted Lasso mean for you?
Well, yeah, I mean, gosh, it was a really special time for me. I mean, it was meeting brilliant people, working with excellent people, and working on a show that uh, I think the response that it had was very different to what the intention necessarily was, and I mean that in the sense that I don't think that Jason and Bill and Brendan and Joe set out to make a cozy show, a nice cozy show. They made a fish out of water comedy that just happened to have a lot of heart. And working on a show that has a lot of heart is a really wonderful thing. And it was a huge bonus that the response was that of people finding it, teaching them lessons about kindness and good leadership. And so yeah, it was a very lovely show to work on, but also a lovely show to sort of see it go out into the world.
Well, watching and then feeling how people responded to it, I think was really interesting because you don't see that many shows with that kind of cultural impact. And obviously the pandemic may have had some part of that, but it also is such a perfectly rounded show in terms of like character development and emotions and comedy and everything else. What did you think of the character when you first started playing him?
Well, he was a fairly straightforward guy. He was just obsessed with himself and wanted himself to be the winner in any situation. Um, and it was sort of unbeknownst to me slightly that he would go on this journey of self discovery, but also self acceptance and understanding. And so I think that was a really fun thing throughout the series was finding the times at which Jamie's still himself, but he's just making different choices. He's still the sort of the prick, the douche, as is referred to in the show. But he's just making different choices now, and that was the exciting thing, that we never lost sight of who he was as an audience, I think.
Did you find over the course of the three seasons that you had input into his arc, or how did that work?
I think that indirectly, yes. I think that what I felt in the words in the script were that was sort of it was a response to Jamie's, to sort of the vernacular that was used, the sort of tone that was used. But I think that they were very it's a very collaborative process that Jason had with the rest of the writers, and I think holistically felt a part of that. But it's one of those things where they are the writers for a good reason, and I'm like, you guys, I'm not going to tell you how to, just tell a grandma how to suck eggs, as it were. Um, I don't know if that's a saying that you guys have over here, but it might sound quite strange without the context. But I wasn't going to tell them how to do their jobs.
I've seen other people say this too. It felt to me like Jamie had the best character arc in the whole series. I mean, it just felt like it was so complete, going from like the bad boy of the group to being almost, the leader of the team in some ways, and the arc and the powerful things he goes through, especially in like the Mom City episode, is phenomenal. What did you think of coming to that at the end?
Thanks, man. Well, I think that I think Jamie's a barometer for Ted's teachings. I think that what we see and as many of the other characters are, of course, but Jamie is the sort of he has the furthest to go in terms of the sort of egocentric beginnings to a kind of much more rounded and uh, uh, yeah, like just a much better version of himself. And but you know, he sees that he watches other people go through their arcs, and I think that he can see through the response that they have from the world around them. Um, you know, what happens when they show kindness, or that they listen, or they show compassion, or you know, whatever it is, they show teamwork. Um, so yeah, it's yeah, he kind of, I think, is the touchstone for how well Ted's message gets across. You know.
Hmm. Very well said. I'm curious from a personal perspective. Did you have a favorite person on set? Because I mean, I think I know, but I'm curious. Did you have a favorite person?
The caterer. The caterer was the best because they they always fed me, and that's all I need really.
I mean,
Uh,
not Brad.
I mean, listen, I loved everybody. So favorite is a strong phrase, but
That's true.
yeah,
Fair.
but I loved hanging around with him so very much. Yeah, I he's a very naughty boy, and I love him.
Your conversation that Apple posted on YouTube is one of the best things I've seen come out of any show. It just felt so you, but also so the show, and it was
Yeah.
great.
Thank you.
Do you, I mean, professionally speaking, do you feel like you learned things off of doing this show and this character?
Yes, yes. I think that knowing when to sort of, you know, push the pedal down in terms of accelerating the emotional arc.
Hmm.
Um, you know, it was very easy to do with the script. To you know, it's very clear when that was happening. But knowing that it's a sort of this comedy with a lot of soul and a lot of heart, the bits that are far more emotionally uh, pertinent were sometimes mixed into some of the funniest scenes. And so that I found was something that I learned a lot from Jason and Brett and Brendan and Nick, Mohammed and Hannah and Juno, where that you're sort of flirting with those two sort of opposites, but still throughout the whole thing wanting to have integrity of character, you know, journey. Because I think the audience, if you're doing it for a laugh, they don't care anymore, and they're not going to find it funny because you know they can see what you're doing. Yeah, that's a tough skill.
Well, the aftermath now of the show and the third season. Congratulations on your Critics' Choice nomination and everything. But I also had to talk to you about the Hannah Waddingham special. Is so great. What was that like to be a part of?
Yeah, it was. I was terrified doing it because it's such amazing people involved. And yeah, I mean, it was sort of a bit of a dream come true, really. I felt like a competition winner.
Could this be an annual thing? You folks put on a Christmas show,
I think we should start the petition.
right? She's such a phenomenal talent. It's amazing to see her sing and perform, but also just to be a personality.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure. And it's really what you see what you see there is really just who she is. She's just effervescent and such an amazing aura of a person. You know, her whole energy. It's a vibe. She's a whole mood, as they say.
Do also speaking of the aftermath of the show, do you have a favorite thing that's happened because of the show now? Because I mean, you've been to the White House. Obviously, the
Yeah.
Hannah Waddingham special is directly from the show, but is there something that stands out amongst all these things?
God, that is a good question. I mean, so much has happened. It's been such an incredible journey with it. Uh, I think meeting the president of your Fair Isles was really important, and his wife. But I think meeting Pep Guardiola, who was the manager of Man City, was probably uh, the most incredible moment, because of all like of the superlative moments, it was definitely up there because he feels like a bit of certainly in the football world, a bit of a demigod, you know. Um, so that was a very strange, and like to have a bit of a scene with him as well was just like he does this chest slap, um, which is sort of his signature move when he's congratulating a player, and I got that, and I was like, I'm never washing this chest again.
Well, I know you're a football player, so this must be just double positive to not only play the character, have this kind of step into that world. I assume, did you learn anything?
It's positive in that I got to play football. Slightly negative in that when I now play football, and anybody may recognize me from the show, they're very disappointed that my skills are nowhere near as good as Jamie's. You know, I'm handy enough, but I think that they're expecting a lot more. I tell you that another thing that's been incredible is being on FIFA, which is a game that I have played for all of my adult life. And that is truly, I feel a bit. I met Paul Mullin recently, who, of course, of AFC Wrexham AFC. Sorry, my team's AFC Wimbledon, so I always get those two wrong. And I felt like a real imposter talking about being on FIFA with him because I was like, you actually earned being on FIFA through years and years and years of playing football. But you know, still doesn't take away from the fact that there's no thrill like scoring with your own image.
That is amazing. Not many people can say that. I mean, in terms of like either action figures or being in a video game, that's a pretty small select group of people.
Yeah, it does horrible things for the ego. It really does.
Well, the last thing I want to know is what comes next. What are you working on now? What's your dreams and goals for the next year?
Well, I go back to filming on Surface season 2, which is an Apple show, which is with Gugu Mbatha Raw and Ollie Jackson Cohen, and a great cast and crew. It's a thriller, which has been great fun to shoot, and I cannot wait to go back and finish that off because it was stopped because of the strikes. And I recently directed and wrote a short film, which we're doing the rounds on short film festivals, which was really good fun. And yeah, really just sort of seeing, really looking forward to going to the Emmys and to the Critics' Choice, and then seeing sort of where the year takes us. Really,
it's fantastic. Well, good luck. I feel you've got good odds for the awards, but good luck and really thank you so much for the time.
you're very kind. Thank you, mate. Appreciate you. Thank you.